The way we consume and share news today is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. Erica joins us for Social Media Minute. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. This first story kind of unnerves me because I recall rather recently I was talking about something quite similar right before a plane landed, I believe. Someone decided to open up the emergency exit.
Yeah,
right?
that happened less than a month ago. So this is kind of really shocking.
I think so.
So what happened was a male passenger aboard a Jeju Air flight, Boeing 737, departing from Cebu in the Philippines at 1:49 a.m. on Monday, attempted to open the plane door during flight. Sound familiar? It was late. Most of the passengers were asleep.
Okay.
Thankfully, although the man tried to open the door did not open and nobody was hurt. There were a total of 180 passengers on board. It was everyone, got a good scare, but thankfully, I can't stress enough, nobody was hurt.
Nobody was seriously injured. Now, as for trauma, that's an entirely different conversation we'll talk about. It's shocking just hearing it at ground level, like to be on that plane. I'm not even going to pretend like I know what that feels like. Just a little bit of turbulence scares me.
It gives me trauma just thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the idea of a flight to me is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, this giant tube of a machinery
in the air for hours.
Right. And we don't question that it will safely take off and safely land. Right. The thing is, this man who is responsible for attempting to open the door, he looked a little bit fussy.
Yeah. About an hour into the flight, he began to act strange.
Okay.
This is based on stories shared by passengers and Jeju Air. According to the airline company, the man had complained that he felt pressure on his chest. This is about an hour after the flight took off. And the cabin crew, especially in light of what happened less than a month ago, they sensed that something was off.
Okay.
Right? There was a gut feeling. So one of the crew offered to move the man to a seat near the jump seats, but he continued to act out of the ordinary is an expression that comes to mind.
Okay.
He kept looking around. He wouldn't sit still. And he attempted several times to walk toward the exit to force the door open, but he was stopped by the cabin crew and 4 male passengers.
Now, I've got to hand it to not just the cabin crew for being professional, but the 4 male passengers who clearly took this matter into their own hands. You said the plane departed from Cebu at 1:49 a.m.
Yeah.
You would expect most passengers to be sound asleep.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So, the passenger was sort of, he was under control, basically.
Okay.
And upon landing, he was immediately handed over to the Incheon airport police. Now, an online account, there were several online accounts posted by eyewitnesses who were on board the same flight. One of them claimed the male passenger had threatened to open the door, get everyone killed. Other witnesses said another male passenger, a fellow male passenger, presumably from the scare, from the shock of what he witnessed, yelled help and fainted mid-flight. Thankfully, there was a doctor on board who made sure this man calmed down. He was okay, basically.
I'm actually grateful that we get to report this news because the nature of the news cycle, we rarely get to report on accidents prevented.
Yep.
We talk about accidents that happen.
That's right.
And trying to recuperate from disastrous outcomes, but not necessarily accidents prevented by 4 strangers on a plane.
Yes.
All right. So everyone is sound on the ground.
Yep.
But of course, the lingering trauma of what this does, I'm not quite sure if we can measure.
That's right.
All right. We'll leave it there for now. Not sure what to exactly make of it.
Yeah, I really hope this is the last time we talk about something like this?
Suddenly, I'm just not very interested in flying. Okay, let's move on to our second buzzword of the day. Korean Culture Day, apparently attracting hundreds of people in a part of Belgium. It sounds exciting.
More like thousands of people,
Really?
tens of thousands. So it was a display of Korean sounds, Korean culture, and of course flavors. There's always food involved in events like this. It was the first of its kind in Belgium, and we're talking about the Korean Culture Days event that happened in Brussels, Belgium, over the weekend. Now, according to the Korean Culture Center of the European Union, a total of 47,000 people visited the Korean Culture Days event held in downtown Brussels. This event was held to mark the 60th anniversary of Korea-EU diplomatic relations, and the Culture Center announced that 47,000. That number represents a little over 4% of the entire population of Brussels. And compared to the same event held 2 years ago, there was an increase of approximately 18% in the number of visitors.
So increasingly popular, apparently, Korean food, Korean culture.
Yes.
Let's talk about the event. I mean, the idea is you have to feed the people. I mean, in order to keep people engaged and excited, what was offered?
Yeah, so there was, of course, K-pop music. K-pop groups were present. Artist Paul Kim, girl group CSR, and boy group Only One Of were there. There were plenty of fans from neighboring countries as well, including Netherlands, Denmark, and Spain. They traveled long distances to see their favorite K-pop stars in person, and many of them were seen singing along to the songs in Korean. Yeah, and the visitors also got their hands on some K-pop merchandise and plenty of other Korean goods. So a total of 40 stalls, booths were set up and open to the public. These booths offered a range of activities to visitors, including traditional Korean games or the less traditional, the red light, green light, anybody? And Dalgona games, both made internationally famous thanks to a certain TV show. And there were food tastings organized by four really well-known Korean restaurants located in Brussels. Guests also took part in a bunch of activities that, and they had a chance to win prizes as well.
That certain TV show is eyeing that second season, and we're getting like a list of who else is
of information, right?
Yes, I mean, we know that Lee Byung-hun is attached for sure.
Yep.
Of course, Lee Jung-jae is returning, and then there's like Kang Han-il and this young blood of actors.
Yeah, Yang Dong-gun as well.
We'll have to wait and see how that pans out, but certainly paving the way for the popularity of K-culture. But businesses, it seems, also profited from the publicity of Korean culture.
That's right. 40 Korean companies took part in the event. They engaged directly with the local consumers. Many of the Korean cosmetics and food products were showcased. They were sold out even before the event concluded. 16 small and medium-sized companies posted a collective profit of $5 million through B2B export consultation sessions that were organized by KOTRA, Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency. And yeah, like I said, 60 years of diplomatic relations with the European Union. Korea, of course, took the opportunity to, gain support for the 2030 World Expo.
I thought we had all the time in the world. We don't. It's like this end of this year, November is when we're eyeing. So you'll hear more of that in the coming months. So. All right, let's move on to our final story of the day. Koreans are apparently tightening up their purse strings in light of, the tough economic situations. We want to travel less, apparently, this summer. Yeah.
Apparently, many people, many families had planned on traveling somewhere this summer.
Somewhere further. I mean, the pandemic restrictions are
overseas
a bit lax,
destinations.
So we thought maybe North America, Europe.
That's right. But it looks like more and more people are delaying vacation plans or giving them up altogether. Why? Because of soaring costs. Everything is so expensive these days.
The flight, the hotels,
renting a car.
Food.
Yeah, exactly. So, some are sort of like, going, okay, you know what? We're going to travel to Europe maybe next year.
Or maybe October when nobody else is traveling.
True. And they're opting for domestic, destinations, options instead.
Rats, that was my plan.
But it looks like it still costs hundreds of thousands of won won just to rent a car. The price of gas is really high. So people are going, okay, maybe not this summer.
I don't have a kid to entertain. Maybe for me, home is good.
Well, you sort of do have a canine kid.
I do. Home is good.
Yeah, so according to the National Statistical Office, the cost of dining out rose 6.9% in May compared to the same month last year. Although the overall price increase is said to have stalled somewhat, food prices continue to rise. Electricity, gas, water bills rose 23.2%, recording a 20% increase for the second consecutive month. So, one of the popular sort of like alternative destinations for people who are hoping to save a little bit is Japan and destinations in Southeast Asia.
We just talked about the 1 yen exchange
Yes,
rate.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
People are posting their experiences in Japan saying that, I had a bowl of ramen in Japan for around 7,000 won, because a meal everywhere you go, anywhere you go these days would easily cost you, 10,000 won? So some people are saying, you know what? It's actually cheaper to travel in Japan than in certain parts of Korea.
But now I'm just seeing more headlines saying everyone is headed to Japan. Does that mean that I can't get plane tickets? So many questions. But we'll leave it there for now.
Nothing is easy.
Nothing is easy. Thanks, Erica. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.